Hello. I kind of messed up the beginning there, but that's okay. Welcome to the show. How's
I
everyone
love
doing?
the very first words out of our new show. Oops, that was great.
I'm like, oopsie.
New show, same shenanigans. I love it.
Exactly. How are you doing, guys? Welcome, everybody, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is so exciting. We are still on the I Want to Believe channel. That will stay for just a couple more weeks. But please, if you are not, if you're watching us there, please come over to the Paranormally Speaking show, as you can see down at the bottom there. And if you go to our Facebook page, Paranormally Speaking, you will find the link to our show if you can't seem to find it on YouTube yet because we're brand new. So, and we want to welcome all of our Twitch watchers as well. We are on Twitch, and probably in a couple weeks we'll be on Twitch and Twitter. Or X, I guess it is. We'll be on X. And yeah, we'll go from there. So welcome.
If
Um,
Twitch and Twitter ever combined, would they be Twix?
could be.
Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe.
Is that name already taken? All right.
Cody's back. Yay. Yeah, so because this is our first show, we thought that what we would do is start by just a little bit of an introduction about ourselves, let people get to meet us, talk about us. And then we're later on in the show, we're going to be bringing on one of your teammates, Trevor, right?
Yep. So we're gonna get to talk to my case manager, and she's got quite a bit of experience in the paranormal field. So I'm excited to talk to her.
That will be exciting. It'll be exciting. We've been really looking forward to this. We've got some ideas coming up that you'll see over the next few weeks that we're going to be incorporating into the show. We'll be bringing on new guests, everything as well. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. So how about we start off like this? Lynda, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Wow, I get the privilege. I like that. Sure. So, I'm Lynda Quirino. I'm the founder and director of the Georgina Paranormal Society. We are based in Georgina, Ontario, which is about an hour north of Toronto. So we're nice and central in Ontario. I myself have been a paranormal investigator for 43 years, which is a long time. And it's
You don't even look like you've been alive for 43 years. So
you're so sweet. Oh my goodness. I don't feel 60, but anyway. But yeah, I've done a lot in my long career. I grew up in Montreal, so I started doing paranormal investigations in Montreal. And then when I got married, my husband was transferred to Toronto. So we moved to the Big Smoke, as they call it, and didn't stay there for long, ended up going north on the highway and ended up in Georgina. And that's where I've been doing investigating now for a long time. But I've been on Paranormal Survivor. I've done a lot of podcasts. I've been interviewed on a lot of different places, TV Ontario, French TV Ontario, you name it. It's such a gratifying field. I have, there are 5 members of our team, and we do mostly residential investigations, but we love to pair up with other like-minded teams and go out there and see what's new and share our evidence and talk about all things nebulous and ghosty. And I'm so excited about this because, this is a long time coming, and I love doing the show with you guys. And I think it's going to be so much fun. It's already fun.
it's already fun. Exactly. Already fun. Yeah, I'm really, hearing your background, it always fascinates me. Like, you've been doing this, like you said, for a long time. And so you've been able to watch, all of the gizmos and the gadgets and all of that make their appearance to some degree. Because, I mean, even when I was first doing ghost hunting, we didn't have all of that. We had quite a lot, but there was a lot of things that, either A, were just way too expensive, or B, we just couldn't afford. Like it was just too much. And a lot of it wasn't even invented yet, like the same stuff that we have now.
No, exactly. We had, the 60-minute or 90-minute tapes and the tape recorders. When they wore out, you had to go in and you had to flip them. That was fun. And of course, the Kodak Instamatic cameras with the little flash cubes and we had, right? Like we had all of those, dinosaur techniques. But interestingly enough, some of those dinosaur techniques yielded some pretty great evidence. So,
yeah,
absolutely. How hard was it, I guess, watching, with all these new things that were coming up, how thinking, oh, these are just gimmicky or just silly. Was there anything that, like, back when it first came out, you were like, no way, this is never going to work or never going to catch, that you're like, okay, now I'm using it?
Yeah, interestingly enough, things like a spirit box. I used to use a transistor radio and put it between stations and take that with me, because I thought, well, if you're picking up on different frequencies, why not use a transistor radio? And I had so much luck with that. So when a spirit box came out, I thought, well, let's give it a shot. And EMF detectors, we didn't really have EMF detectors. The hair on my arms was actually a really good EMF detector. But there were some really cool inventions. All of those. Well, the apps are bizarre. I still can't get my head around those.
That
I don't know. I'm not.
Those aren't ghost hunting. Those are just apps.
Those are just.
They're not investigating anything. They're just creating nonsense.
A lot of people use them, but I don't know. But
they do. But
Yeah, I'm just blown away by some of the stuff that they have now. But
yeah.
What about you, Trevor? Go ahead.
I love, we talked about all the the new stuff that's even coming out today, and I start to wonder. It's just like, okay, well, at what point is it getting too crazy, but even we were in an investigation last night, and one of my team members, she brought out this new thing that I'd never seen before and was trying to explain to me how it worked, and I was just like, what? And in my back of my mind, I'm like, this is just goofy. How would a ghost even know how to do this? But at the same time, they went down and started using it, and I'll be darned if it didn't start producing results. So
what was it?
She called it no, you're gonna put me on the spot. It was I'll have to think about it. I'm sure it'll come to me here in a minute. So it's kind of like a ghost box. But it's not. It was a Phasma box or something like that.
Oh,
Phasma. It was a Phasma something.
Interesting.
I think it was like a Phasma box or something like that. It kind of works sort of like a ghost box, only not connected to the internet or the airwaves. It's like all pre-downloaded onto a tablet, and it kind of sounds kind of like an Ovilus in some ways, where there's where there's like a word bank already in there. I don't know. I didn't really understand it a whole. I have to kind of look into it a little bit more. So I don't know, Cody. I know a lot of dumb people who have died, and I don't think they got smarter because of it.
Cody cracks me up. That's funny. Tell us about your background, Trevor.
Oh, well, I'm Trevor Palmer, and I am a co-founder and the executive director for Western Idaho Paranormal Incorporated. I have been a paranormal investigator since about 2010, 2012 time. I kind of got into this when because of some experiences I had as a kid. I remember laying in bed as a very small child and seeing shadow people that were kind of just wandering around in the living room, and I didn't really understand what I was looking at. And they really didn't bother me until one of them was like in my bedroom one night, and it scared me pretty good. And those memories always stuck with me over the years. And then I remember flipping through the channels on television and came across that Ghost Hunter show. And I remember thinking, like,
which one is that?
people do this? And so I kind of did a little research, just kind of locally, trying to see if I could find any groups that were interested in it. And I found one, and I was fortunate enough. They took me on and started to teach me a little bit about how they do business. And one thing led to another, and now I'm running my own team. It's pretty crazy. So, so professionally, I'm a firefighter paramedic. I've been doing that for almost 30 years. And, I spend most of my time either working with Western Idaho Paranormal, but I also have like a bajillion other hobbies. But most of my time is spent with my kids. I have a wife, 6 kids, 3 girls, 3 boys. My youngest is 13. So my oldest is married, and they both still live at home with us. Yeah, economy. And so I mean, I'm a pretty busy guy. There's never a dull moment. So, but yeah, that's kind of me in a small nutshell.
Cool. So what do your family think about you doing all of this?
Well, my wife has been pretty supportive. She doesn't ever want to go on a ghost hunt with me, but she lets me do it, and that's nice. Most of my kids are like they're always pretty into it. In fact, when I first started doing this, and they actually started trying to do ghost hunts in the house, which I thought was funny because they were a lot littler back then. And there was I remember they had like this little remote control car, and it like did something like it kind of moved by itself, and they all freaked out about it. And so they were all trying to investigate it and trying to make it move again. Oh, hey, that was a ghost, and make it move again, and then if it moved again, it would they were like, oh my gosh, and it was just, the remote control is just faulty, but it was pretty funny. And I do remember my mom asking me that same question though after I started ghost hunting, and I told her about the house that when I was little in the seeing. Well, I said, do you remember this house that we used to live in when I was 3 or 4? And she goes, oh, I hated that place. And I asked her, well, why is that? She goes, well, because I used to see shadows and stuff moving around in the house. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like, well, me too. That's why I do that. It was really interesting to realize that, my mom had some of the same experiences I'd had, and really kind of validated it for me, that I wasn't just imagining things or crazy. And I thought, this is really cool that, that's kind of what we do as paranormal investigators for other families now, where it's like people are just feeling like they're crazy, and they're not able to come to terms with what's going on in their home. They don't have anybody to talk to about it because they feel like they're going to get made fun of or told that they're crazy. But we can come in and come in non-biased, non-judgmental, and just take a look at what's going on. Because whether it's paranormal or not, clearly they're experiencing something. And once we can explain what it is that they are experiencing and show them, it's like a huge weight gets lifted off their shoulders, and they're no longer afraid to be in their own homes. And there's, now it's like seeing the end of the scary movie, and they're like, oh, well, that's not that scary at all. And, so yeah. So that's, yeah. It's a good. I enjoy doing it just for that reason alone. So
that's a good thing. And what about you, Kathy?
Well, let's see. So, it's funny because it's sort of one of those stories where you're like, I think that all along, when you look back at your life, I think you're always pretty, you feel like you're always drawn to be here. That's what I feel like. I was always drawn to be in this particular field. And our own home. And at some point, like, throughout our shows, we'll get more into the details and all of that. My story is in Peter and Jason's book. I want to believe. I can't remember the name of the book now. Oh my gosh. You probably know the name of the book, don't you, Trevor?
Yes.
Which oh, Peter's book?
Investigators. Yeah.
Put me on the
Yeah.
spot again.
Gosh.
I feel silly
Can't
now,
think of it.
but I've told my story a few times. We'll talk about all of that at some point in later shows or whatever. But mine started off in a very, very haunted house with my daughters, and we sold that house and we moved here. And then my son started experiencing some things that really sort of brought me into looking for help for myself at that time. And had always been really intuitive, and you look back and you realize, okay, there was also some mediumship in there and probably some psychic abilities to some degree. And I know that they were there, but I had other things to focus on, like my kids and work and whatever it was. And so once my son started experiencing things, I think to some degree that was actually it was like the catalyst of me doing what I do now. And I ended up joining a paranormal team. I was looking for help in the paranormal world. But at that time there was no help. There was no investigators. There was no teams. The most I ever found as far as help went was out of the university. I think they had a parapsychology department, and there was a couple of psychics that were charging like extraordinary amounts of money to do what I do now. And so I didn't really I didn't know what to do. And then we did find Edmonton Paranormal Society, which I ended up becoming a member of. I ended up becoming the president. I was case manager for a while. I was a psychic for a while. And so, we did that. We were with Edmonton Paranormal. It was probably 8 to 10 years, I think. And I agree, Trevor, like lots of, it's being able to be there and help people through this is so, so important. And when you can calm people down and you explain to them what exactly is going on, or you can give them some tips or some help, or it's really just living with the paranormal rather than having the paranormal take over your existence, right? And so through that, I actually ended up doing readings, and I came to where I am right now. So I am a psychic medium intuitive, and yeah, that's my job. I do it full time, to be honest. And besides that, and the podcast, that's where I'm at. I love it. I love my life. I love my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The important thing about it too is again, that ability to help people, and people need to understand too, the paranormal investigators, I think a lot of times initially when I first started doing it, it was for selfish reasons, right? Because I wanted to know more about what was going on, and I wanted to know more about, try to find those answers for myself. And what I discovered over time was that the more I got into this and more evidence that I was finding and things like that, I was having more questions instead of getting answers. And so, it's important for people to understand that it's like paranormal investigators, we don't have it all figured out. All we do is just kind of come with a sense of calm and perspective that we can give to people. Because we may not always be able to tell you, yeah, this is exactly what's going on and why, but we can definitely help people get through it, because we've been through it too. And that's kind of, what's really important, and what people should be able to expect from a good paranormal investigation team.
Yeah, that's really true. And I think that, I know with my team, we have bi-monthly public paranormal meetings. And I love when we have those because, they're free to attend. Anybody who's had experiences they're welcome to come. And it's through the sharing of everybody's stories, that you find common denominators of experience. And when you know you can share your story in a safe space and that other people have had similar things happen to them, there's that, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. These things actually happen. So you're helping people to cope, and you're helping people to connect with others who've had the same kinds of experiences. And then, of course, if they need help, we're there to help them. So that's always good.
It's funny that I forgot that you guys do the bi-monthly meetings, and we used to do that as well. But ours, I think at that time, were weekly. We did kind of cut them down to like every couple of weeks and stuff, because it became really overwhelming. It was a lot of work, to put them together, and you were always, and if that venue, for whatever reason, you couldn't host it at that venue, you were always looking for a venue. It became, a little overwhelming. But the same thing, and we had a lot of people. Because you always get those people that are like, can I join your team? Can I come on an investigation? And they don't seem to understand that we're going into somebody's house. Somebody is trusting us with their house, with their home. They're trusting us with their valuables. They're trusting us with their children. They're trusting us with the energy of the house. They're trusting, you know what I mean? And so to haul in a bunch of strangers is really a violation of not only their space, but possibly their physical material things. And we have no guarantee that you're not going to pocket something. We don't know that. But also we don't know what kind of energy you're bringing into the house too. If you're just a miserable blankety blank, then you're spreading that energy to those people. And you don't have the right to do that. And, it's as that's one of the reasons why we also work as teams. It's to check ourselves, to protect ourselves too. We work as teams because it's a camaraderie, right? And you work well with these people. You feel safe with these people. They bring about a sense of safety and security when you are doing something like this. And whether you're a believer or a skeptic, it can play on not only your physical self, but your emotions and, your mental state to some degree, depending, right? And especially the skeptics that think that, they're just going to make fun of the investigation the entire time. And then all of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute. Then next thing you know, they're in the corner fetal positioned and crying, right? Like, we've got to deal with other things. We don't have time to deal with you.
Yeah, and that's, that, and I like that word, the camaraderie and stuff. That was something that I found right away when I joined First Paranormal Team, was just how I tried to explain it to somebody, just a group of people that I've never been with a group of people just more accepting and inviting, than a group of good paranormal investigators, because, we all kind of come from that same background where we started, right? Where it was kind of like something happened to us at some point that was kind of like, what the heck, and at one point we didn't have anybody to talk to about that. And, now we've got this community where, it's okay to talk about this. Back, we love talking about this stuff, and, and we have people from, all different types of backgrounds and religions and perspectives, and how that all kind of meshes together is really cool.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the other thing I found, especially with most of the people that try to get on our team, I mean, same thing, they want to come out on a ghost hunt, and they don't understand. And we try to explain to them that it's a lot more work than they really, and it's not just going and walking through a building that might be haunted and talking to the walls. But I mean, we're going to be out there for hours and hours and hours. This isn't like a 45-minute deal like they see on TV with all sorts of commercial breaks, and then there's like that many hours times however many pieces of equipment out that you have to go back and review over the week and try to pick out, all the EVPs and all the evidence that you hopefully caught. And it takes a long, long time. And people just aren't prepared for that. I mean, you're putting in almost as much time as a full-time job throughout the week trying to get through some of this stuff. And you're not getting paid for it. And so it drives a lot of people away. So we get really lucky when we find good people anymore, people that really want to be doing this. and people who have that same drive and that same passion that we do as a team. Finding those people is few and far between. So.
Absolutely. Speaking of teams, why don't we bring Shauna on and introduce her?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we'll just bring her on first. Hang on a second. Hey, Shauna, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. It's nice to have you on the show. And introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been with Western Idaho Paranormal?
I have not been with them for very long. I got on the team about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now. So I'm new to them, but I have been doing this for quite a while. Can you guys hear me okay? I couldn't get my laptop to work, so we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, just wave your hand if I cut out. I've been doing paranormal investigations for about 8 years, just on my own. I picked up little pieces of equipment, and then I ended up getting hired by a big national paranormal company where they taught me how to investigate and how to teach other people how to investigate. And I was with them for a few years before they didn't exist anymore. And then I found Western Idaho Paranormal with Trevor and his team. And that's where I've been now, like I said, for about a year and a half.
And we're lucky to have her, I tell you. So we talk about those people that are few and far between. We really we hit a bullseye with Shauna. We really got lucky with her. She puts in a tremendous amount of work for the team. She's also a trove of knowledge. She's been, investigating for a long time. She's got phenomenal ideas, so she really helped take lead this last little go around where we just did our very first public investigation for the University Inn in Gooding that happened last night. And Shauna was instrumental in bringing that together and helping us, kind of set the tone and the standard for that. And so, because she had worked for that other company, then that's pretty much all that they did was those public investigations. So it's cool. And she's got a lot of really fun gadgets to play with. So.
That's cool.
I remember one of the first things I didn't get to investigate with her right away, but I was reviewing some evidence out of a case of it, and she's just walking around with this backpack on, and somebody's like, oh, well, we got this. Oh, hold on, and she reaches out and she pulls out some device and sets it down. We'll use this for that. I mean, it's like it's like Batman's utility belt or something.
You need your own little icon in the sky.
Yeah, I like
so Shauna,
that.
of all the so you've investigated a lot of different places. You have what's your favorite haunt? What's the favorite place you want to go back to?
Oh, 100%. That's going to be the Dumas Brothel in Butte, Montana. That is by far the most haunted place I have ever been in my life. You don't even need equipment to hear and to see the ghosts there. It's just incredible.
Really? No equipment necessary. Wow. That's incredible.
That's the only place where I have seen with my own eyes. I've seen an apparition pass by the doorway and gave me a startle. And there were about 3 other people who saw the same thing. So I know I wasn't crazy. And there's video of footsteps walking up and down the corridor and up and down the stairs when absolutely nobody is in there except for the one person who's recording. It's, the history of that brothel is just incredible. It was a running brothel until 1982, well past the time that that was against the law. It was there's been, of course, murders in there. The women who were who owned the brothel, they mysteriously end up dead, and their best friend takes over. It's just they should make a movie of that brothel. Seriously, it's incredible. I recommend everybody go. Dumas, the Dumas. That's the Dumas Brothel. It's in Butte, Montana.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to plan a team trip. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll work on that for us maybe for next year.
Awesome. So yeah, I made Shauna was gracious enough to be voluntold to be our case manager. So it was something I was trying to shoulder along with all the other stuff that I was trying to do, and I was getting spread way too thin, and nothing was happening. But she's been phenomenal with that. So Shauna, earlier I was trying to describe a piece of equipment that you pulled out last night that I had never heard of before. And would you be able to tell us a little bit about this gadget? Because I'm still trying to figure it out.
I'm assuming you're meaning the one that's loud, that talks, the voices and all that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I am not tech savvy. I can't give the scientific way that this was put together and built, but I'm sure all of you guys have heard about the Spirit Box, the SB7 or SB11, and that uses radio signals. The problem that I run into this, and I know everybody runs into this, even with the Faraday cage, is that there's so much radio signal when you're down in a city or a populated area that it's too much. You can't hear anything specifically, and it really is just frustrating. The only time I've ever had any luck with a Spirit Box is when I was so high up in the mountains that there was no radio signal there. And so the only things that were coming through seemed to be intelligent responses. So that's my frustration with the Spirit Box. So what I was using last night, it's called a Phasma box. Have you guys heard of a Phasma box before?
No. Trevor was trying to explain it, but I don't think
I got the name right at least. It's like a Phasma.
You tried.
box.
You did good. You did good.
So it's essentially a Spirit Box, only it's not using radio waves. So there is, and I should have looked up the detailed information about this, but there is a well-known paranormal investigator who's obviously very smart also, who put a whole bunch of sounds and noises and words, all from internet waves, basically. And he created this big dictionary full of these sounds and noises onto this computer program. And that's what it is. It's essentially a computer program that just shuffles through all of these internet words and sounds and everything continuously. And it needs to be downloaded onto a tablet, and it has to be a PC tablet. So that took me forever to find, just because all of them are like Apple, or none of them are actually a PC. I finally found one, and I was able to download this program onto it. And once you download the program, it never connects to the internet again. This is not something that gets updated. It's the only thing that lives on that tablet. The Bluetooth is turned off, so absolutely no signal can get into the tablet, so that the program that's on it isn't being affected by your location services or something like that. And then, just like the Spirit Box, you can turn it on, and I just attach it with the wire to my speaker, and we can start asking questions. And a lot of things are hard to understand. But like last night when we were sitting there, especially with the young girl who lives there, we were asking questions about the spirits that were there, and we were getting solid and very clear responses from two of her siblings who had unfortunately passed away over the years. And the spirits were talking about her specifically. They told her that she's cute and that they like her being there. And her heart was just, you could feel her heart glowing. She just knew that they were there talking to her through that system. So it's also great to use with the Estes method. We've done that time and time again. Send somebody off in the other room and listen and have conversations and see if they're getting anything from the Phasma box that's included in the conversation. So I love this piece of equipment. It's not scientific, really. It is there for the experience. And I think most people who want to go out as a guest want the experience. And so this is really a great tool for them to do that.
I think, and I've always been super skeptical about the Spirit Box and things like that. When the Ovilus came out, and it was kind of a head scratcher for me. It's like, because I started thinking about, it's like, how does a spirit actually interact with this? I mean, how does a spirit go, I want this word, or how they find it, but what was interesting is my tech manager was there, and he had gone down into the basement while they were doing this, and he came back kind of scratching his head, and he's like, man, they were getting some really solid answers out of that thing, and it was really, he goes, what is that thing? And I was like, well, she called it this, and this is what I understand, that you have to have a program. And he goes, we got to get this program. So he wants to kind of dive into this and take a closer look, and it was pretty fascinating because, Lynda, we're kind of like we were talking about, like these new gadgets that come along, it's kind of like, what the heck is this thing? Because even though, Sean is saying, well, it's not scientific. Well, yeah, it's kind of, you have to figure out a way to kind of show that it's going, but I mean, because if we're getting consistent, somehow solid answers to things, it's really turning into no different than EVPs at that point. So, I did find it, I was kind of curious about, because like some of the noises that were coming out of it, a lot of reverb and kind of echoey, and some of it was kind of hard to understand. And, and I always get concerned because somebody was mentioning like the apps on the phones, some of them I think are just designed to try to make things creepy, and I wasn't sure if that's how, this thing works or not, but I definitely want to take a closer look at it. I thought that was pretty cool. So thank you, Shauna, for bringing that out and showing me something different. That was really cool. So
absolutely.
What do you have, a favorite piece of gear, a favorite gadget?
Well, I love the cat balls, as you know. I love cat balls.
Hold on. First of all, the cat balls they're about yay big. Okay, there's a red button on them. You push it, turn on, and all they do is flash lights. And so if a cat can bat it around and it flashes lights. She has hundreds of these things. It's amazing. I mean, they just go. Oh, anyway, go ahead.
Well, they seem to be really easy for the spirits to manipulate, and I assume, just like I've heard from everybody, is that it's really hard for them to stay interactive because they seem to run out of energy really easily. And so getting the EVPs will really slow down at the end of the night. All these things will really, really slow down. But the cat balls seem to be really easy for them to manipulate because, I mean, I've put them in grass, I've put them in dirt, I put them in, in a hole in the concrete where they absolutely cannot move on their own, and they're still easily manipulated. And, we can get intelligent responses with them, like marking one or designating one ball as the yes response and designating the other one as a no, and asking questions and seeing them light up individually. It's easy for them, and it's shocking for those who want the experience. And that's probably my favorite. Like I said, I always carry at least a gallon bag full of them with me on every investigation.
Yeah, they can become slip hazards if you're not careful.
Yeah, so. And they get crunched, they get stepped on, they get kicked. So you got to have
Trevor
plenty of replacements.
So, no, I think the cat balls are great. Unless you're not paying attention in the dark and you sit down on top of the bag of them, and that is right. I felt bad about that, by the way. What I like about them is like I said, I mean, I kind of made that joke that you've got tons of these things to do, but what's cool is because you have tons, you can put them like all over the place, and so if you have like kind of a big wide, like an area that you're trying to cover, I mean, you put out a dozen of these things spread out, and it's interesting to watch the ones that all of a sudden something will go on over here, and then it'll track to over here, and it'll track to over here, so you can kind of like follow almost like the movement. But yeah, it'll be like, oh, where are you at? And all of a sudden they'll just like light up in one area. And they're so simple. It's a very simple tool. And what I love about it is like, there's no computer program in them, right? There's no way that somebody could have installed in something to influence it or of any way. It's just a very mechanical device where you have to bump it. All you have to do is bump it a little, and they're super sensitive. And I think that's great. I think I can totally appreciate why that would be one of your favorite gadgets for sure. So little ghost booby traps.
I like that. I like that. I want to know, actually, Shauna, what is or was one of the most incredible pieces of evidence that you've ever gotten that you are just to this day still really excited about?
That would be up in Silver City, Idaho. I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to go up there and investigate. Old mining town that they're trying to restore, or not restore, but keep the original with the buildings and everything. And I'd gone up there with my friend and my friend's husband. My friend's husband, he used to be on a ghost hunting team, actually with Trevor years ago. So he loves the paranormal. He's just not on a team right now. So the three of us went up there just to do an investigation. We wanted to investigate the hotel and the cemetery. This is where we had all the luck with the spirit box because there's no radio signal up there. But we were in the room in the hotel. We had rented a room in the hotel for the night, and we were getting prepared. We were getting ready to go out and do an investigation in the cemetery. And what we always do is, as we're getting ready, we're just sitting there talking. We'll turn on a recorder and just set the recorder off to the side. And just let it record. And we're not investigating. We're not doing anything. We're just talking, getting ready for the night. So we went and did our investigation that night, which was spectacular. It was great. I can tell you some funny stories about it if you guys wanted to hear them. But the greatest piece of evidence is on the recorder in the bedroom. When we went back and listened to it, we were just talking. I was upset because they put in a cell phone tower. It was great before because my cell phone didn't work up there, and now it did. And I was getting messages from work, and I'm frustrated. I'm like, why did they put in a cell phone tower? And then this EVP, because we didn't hear it at the time, clearly stated, "Tell me now." I can tell me now. You hear the whisper, and that it's in a whisper. It was obviously nobody in the room. It's like they just wanted to join in on the conversation. Like, tell me why they put in the cell phone tower. Like, I don't know why they put it in. The ghost was wondering the same thing, I guess. But it was so clear. So that was the most incredible piece I think I've ever got recorded.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's very cool. So what happened to you as a child that made you want to get into this stuff?
It didn't happen
Let's
to me
talk
as a
about your
child.
childhood trauma.
What happened?
Well, as a child, my mom had a couple experiences. She's not she doesn't, like, it would have to be straight in her face for her to see it. She's not sensitive to this sort of stuff, but she had an experience with her horn blowing in the truck outside where they were living. I was just a little kid. Well, anyway, it worked out that they opened the door to figure out what was going on, and they felt the whoosh come in the door and heard footsteps through the house all night. And I'm sorry, you guys can hear that beeping. I should stop that. And then, so that's what she talked about. I never experienced anything like that. My first experience that got me really interested in this is when I was in Montana. I was there for a conference for work, which is law enforcement conference. Is completely separate than anything paranormal, but they have a prison there in Deer Lodge. It's the old Montana State Penitentiary. And I got the opportunity to go through that at nighttime for their nighttime paranormal tour, which was exciting to me. I'd never done anything like that before. And I was taking just pictures everywhere in the dark, pictures. I probably had 300 pictures, mostly of pitch black, because I wasn't using my flash. And I was told at the beginning of the tour that if you take pictures, you go back and look at them later. And if you see a little blue orb, that's a ghost. You caught a ghost. So I'm looking through all of my pictures, trying to find little blue orbs. And I get to this one picture and I zoom in, and it is a person kneeling behind a foundation, and he's just looking at me. And it is clear as day. You can see both of his arms up on the foundation. You can see the whole top half of his body, and he's looking at me. And so my blue orb was a lot better than everybody else's blue orb. I can tell you that, because we were all comparing pictures later on. But that's what really piqued my attention, because I didn't want to believe that it was a ghost. I'd never seen a ghost. I want to know what it really is. Like, what is it? I would put it on different editing programs, anything that could manipulate the picture to maybe help clear it up, to show me what it really was. And it just got more and more clear. I went back to the prison probably 3-4 times at that same time of year under those same circumstances, stood in the same place and kept taking that picture to try to figure out what it actually was. And I can't debunk it. I cannot recreate it. I talked to the lady who works there at the prison, who is a medium, and she also supports me that is not just a fluke. She said that he was actually a guard that used to work at the prison years and years ago. He still walks around and does rounds. So that's kind of what got me kickstarted. I'm like, oh, there's stuff out here. Like, let's find more. What's going on? So that's what it was. That's what got me started.
If you still have that picture, I want to see it sometime. So
I will send it to you. Yeah, absolutely. I have it.
I because we kind of geek out about this stuff. I like, love the pictures and the EVPs and the videos and stuff like that. And, especially the ones that are super legit to help.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's education as well. It's like, hey, this is what, we're looking for. This is, and this is why, and this is how we go about proving it or disproving it, as to be a legit thing. And so I really appreciate the fact that you did that due diligence. It was like, okay, well, I think I know what this is, but what is this really?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that gets lost on so many people that just want to, because even on our team's Facebook page, we get people that want to send us pictures and videos all the time of like, oh, this is my ghost that I caught. And, and when we come back and tell them, sorry, it's just, we think that's a light flare, or, it's just, it's just a dust bunny, and,
Mm-hmm.
and they get really angry. They get very angry at us because and the problem is they didn't do their due diligence. They didn't really look into what it was that they were seeing. And so that's awesome. And, again, that's why I say we hit the bullseye when we got Shauna. So, because she's got a good head on her shoulders and yeah, that's freaking awesome. So I can't wait to see that photo.
Yep. I'll send it to you when I'm finished here.
Awesome. Yeah. I can geek out about it.
So how many people in total do you have on your team right now, Trevor?
I think we have about 10 or 12 or so. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we're doing pretty good. And, everybody's we've been really, really busy. Shauna's been getting us some great cases. And we were invited by one of the local news channels a couple weeks ago, to go out and do a story with them on an investigative story on one of the local business that is ironically like a year-round haunted house, but they're really haunted apparently. So I thought that was kind of funny, but we're like, yeah, okay. So Shauna, you were there on that, right? On that one, were you there?
I was there on that one, and I'm really suspicious of haunted houses. Like, I went through the haunted museum in Vegas, which we won't say names. We all know that was just a joke. But at the one that we went to, I was expecting it just to be a joke, and there was a lot of theatrics to it, and the maze and all of that. But there's some items there that are very, very suspicious. And then I did my my review of the evidence, of my portion of the evidence, and I got some pretty incredible things. So I think that there's definitely something in that house, that maybe there's some attachments to some of the things that are in there, because it's not just spooky because of the dummies and the things that they have set around. Like, there's really something going on.
So
is it like a museum or is it a haunted house?
So think of, go ahead, John.
It's a huge building that they've turned into a haunted house. So they've put up all different kinds of walls and doors and rooms, and each room has a different theme, but you have to make your way through it, and it's dark and spooky. So it's a haunted house.
Okay. That sounds like fun, actually.
I want to go through it for sure when it's open.
Yeah, they've got a lot of actors and stuff like that to, kind of bring it all together. And what's fun about it is I'm pretty, they're open year round, right? Are they
No.
open year round or are they just seasonal?
It's seasonal, definitely during Halloween, and I know that they want to open up different like spooky events during different times of the year, but I don't think they've started doing that yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's a lot of fun. So, okay, question. What's on your bucket list that you have not been to that you'd love to do?
I would love to go to the East Coast and hit some of the old like asylums, sanitariums, or lighthouses. My bucket list is so long. I should probably start writing things down. The biggest thing I want to do, the number one top of the list, is I want to go to Scotland. I plan on giving that to myself for my retirement present here in a few more years. But you can Airbnb an entire castle, like the entire thing can be yours for the night. And I am absolutely doing that because I want to do ghost hunts through the Scottish castle. So that's the first one.
I recently found out all of my my DNA. I got a DNA test, and I recently found out that pretty much my entire family history is from Scotland, and
Wow.
it's really interesting. So I'm there with you. I totally get it. That's one of my. I've always been fascinated by it. I've always, even just watching. What did I start? This is just before I started watching, or just after is when I got my DNA test. But I used to watch The Outlander, and it's one of my like favorite shows. And I would just
Mine
sit
too.
there. So I like the theme song comes on, and I'm crying. I'm just like, and so I think it was like, especially after the first season when they were really in Scotland, and then I found out my DNA I was like, holy crap. Like this, it explained so much. Because even throughout my life, the bagpipes, like I would hear bagpipes, same thing. I would just start bursting out in tears. But I'm adopted, so I didn't know my exact history. So this was very, very interesting for me. So I just had to bring that up because I found, like, as soon as you said Scotland, I was like, oh, that's where I definitely want to.
I'm the same way. I've got a lot. I did my whole family history too in DNA, and I've got a lot of family still over in Ireland and in Scotland, and there's just this pull, like it's pulling me there, like I have to go. So I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna have the time of my life. And if I don't make it back, sorry Trevor, but I quit the team at that time.
I might just come with you. So
okay, make it a team event. Let's go.
Because I've got to save in fact, my wife wants to really take a trip to Ireland and Scotland in those areas, and I am all down for it. Now that I found out that you can just do Airbnb an entire castle, it's gonna happen. So I did my DNA testing, and it turned out I was part marsupial. So
marsupial.
Oh no.
Amazing.
Well, in 2 weeks, I'll be landing, actually exactly 2 weeks. I'll be landing in Edinburgh, and I'll be, I'm doing a little bit of a paranormal tour there, going to Greyfriars. So I'll have you on my mind.
Oh,
Greyfriars is just,
it's going to be so much fun.
Oh yeah.
I know. Am I wrong about Greyfriars? Where isn't that the cemetery that you need special permission for, or something along that line? Am I thinking of the right one? It's supposed to be extremely haunted. Like
it's supposed to be extremely haunted. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I will let you know, because I'll take lots of pictures, and Shauna, I'll make sure you get some too.
Thank you.
I'm thinking we need to get one of those. We need like one of those fire danger signs. It's like, low, medium, extreme. For like, is that how the haunting things work too? It's like, we've got, this place is moderately haunted. This place is extremely haunted. I'm curious on what the divisions are there.
I don't know. I think it depends on the thickness of the Depends that you're actually wearing.
This
how
is an
often you have to
18
change
ply
them.
haunting. Yeah.
Went through one depends today, not that haunted. Okay, we're good.
Oh my goodness.
What about you, Trevor? Where would you want to go?
I'm right there with Sean. Actually, that's the same place that I really go. All kidding aside, my ancestry is also from Scotland. It turned out that I actually have Scott. No, it's Ireland. It was Ireland. I'm Irish royalty in my blood, apparently.
Oh,
so
Wow.
I'm way, and I'm talking like, I mean, you got to go way back to see it, and but I've always been drawn a lot just to the scenery. Like, you see those pictures and it just pulls you. And the other thing that just is the accent. I can't get enough of that accent and redheads. In fact, I had married a redhead, and now I'm trying to teach her to talk with an Irish accent. So I'm like, hey, that's perfect. No, I think that area, just with the history and the buildings that are still there, and just the amount of time that they've been there, and just it's so intriguing. Whether it's haunted or not, it's just that whole area to me is just super fascinating. And I would really love to just do an entire tour of Ireland and the Scottish Isles, and just so
I feel like if I was there and I just closed my eyes, that I can feel the history in the place, because it's so thick. It's so much history that I feel like just being there, you could be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel, awesome, Lynda, that this is going to be like your bucket list trip, like one of your bucket list trips, like, or is this something that is there another place that you want to venture to?
Well, this is definitely a trip that's been on my bucket list for a long time, because it's not just Scotland. It's also Wales. I'm going to different places in England as well as London. But my whole ancestry on both of my parents' sides is from Slovakia. And I would love to go to, Czechoslovakia, to Prague, to visit all of those castles. And my grandfather grew up in a town at the base of the Tatra Mountains near Transylvania. So that whole area, like Romania, Transylvania, Czechoslovakia, I'd love to go there. Maybe that's on my bucket list too.
Yeah, I would agree, especially Transylvania. I'm really fascinated by that. Not just because of the whole, my vampire obsession thing that I got going on. But
are we talking real vampires or sparkly vampires?
No, real vampires. They would have to be real. The sparkly vampires are just not.
No. They don't do it for you. No.
Yeah. But Transylvania, I think, just with all of it, in general, that just fascinates me. There's so many legends that come from there, and Cody's like Team Edward all the way. No. You got to go for the werewolves on those ones.
I agree.
If you go to a place like that, then you can talk like this with everybody, and it sounds so cool.
Exactly. Welcome to the show. But definitely Scotland. I think that would be a fascinating, but don't laugh at me, but it's not a haunted thing, but I'll tell you what I would love to do. There would be no way to have it happen, and I'm okay with that, but this would be my thing to have happen, would be like, I would want like 2 weeks with my own interpreter in the depths of the Vatican.
Oof.
That would be where I would want to go. Like, honestly, I have my own interpreter, right? So I'm not listening to whatever their interpreter has to say. This would be my interpreter. but to read all of those old scrolls and like the book, like
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't sleep for like 2 weeks. That would be all I'd be doing, is just like everything. Like I would, that would be my dream vacation. Everybody's like, I want to go to the beach. I'm like, no, I want to go to the Vatican.
Yeah, I'd go for the pasta. Never mind.
Right?
This
Exactly.
is it. There's so many places, so little time, even less money. So
Yeah, right.
there's so many-
True.
I mean,
So very,
yeah.
very true. Travel young, kids. Travel young. But thank you guys for watching the show. Shauna, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us. It was amazing. We hope to have you back again soon. And thanks for always being here. Everybody, please, please, please make sure that you subscribe to us on the Paranormally Speaking Show channel. If you are on Twitch, you can look for us there as well. And just Paranormally Speaking, I believe it's under on Twitch, but definitely follow us there. And thanks everyone for just being here, and thanks for everything. Take care, and we'll see you next week. We can't wait.
Thank you.